Hi, I'm Aiden Taylor, and welcome to my first ever holiday episode. I am very excited to start bringing some Christmas projects to the channel, and today I'm going to be starting off with creating some ornaments inspired by this vintage illustration. I stumbled across this illustration not too long ago, and I immediately knew that I wanted to use some of my folk art techniques to bring these characters to life and kind of put my own twist on them so that I can have some characters like this to hang on my tree. I absolutely love vintage Christmas, so I know that these are going to look great on my tree. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. For these ornaments, I'm going to be using some of these blank wooden ornament shapes that I purchased from Michael's just because it's going to save some time. I could absolutely sculpt these myself, but I figured I would just go ahead and start with a base ornament, and that way I can just add the faces directly onto them. I'm going to start by sketching out the faces with some pencil straight onto the ornament, so this way I have a guide when it comes to sculpting. Next, I mix up a batch of Celluclay, which you can also purchase from Michael's, and I'm going to be using this to sculpt the faces. I like using Celluclay. It's what I use for all of my folk art sculptures because it's very lightweight and I know that it won't weigh these ornaments down too much, but you could also use other types of clay such as air dry clay, anything really that will adhere to the wooden surface. Now that I've got my clay mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and start sculpting up the prominent parts of the face, such as the nose, the cheeks, the chin, and things like the eyes and the mouth. I will just leave it smooth and we can just paint those on later. When working with Celluclay, I like to use metal tools as the clay doesn't stick to them quite as bad as plastic. It's also handy to have a bowl of water to the side to dip your finger or your tools in, as the water will help smooth the surface of the clay. You have to be quite gentle with Celluclay as it's quite soft, and if you press it, it will just completely ruin whatever you've just sculpted. So you have to be very gentle with it. It takes a very light touch, and over time you'll get better at this with practice. It's a bit finicky, but the end result is absolutely worth it. I'm going to repeat these steps for all three of my ornaments, and then I'm going to let them dry overnight, and you'll know that Celluclay is dried once it has turned completely white. Now that my ornaments are dry, I'm going to go ahead and prime the surface of all three of them with a generous coat of white gesso, and this is going to help give me some texture once we get to the dry brushing stages, as well as seal any cracks or imperfections in the wood or the clay. Once my gesso has dried, I'm going to go ahead and start painting a base coat of acrylic paint. Now, when trying to determine what color to start painting with, I think to what do I want the ornament to look like once it is finished? What color is it going to be? And I create a much darker, muted version of that color as my base so that that can really soak into all of the cracks and crevices and little imperfections, and that's what's going to give us that vintage antiqued look. Once I have my base coat completely done, I'm going to start dry brushing with several different tones of the same color, starting with the darkest and working my way to the lightest. Doing this is going to help give it that weathered look and almost a sort of airbrushed effect, and I'm focusing the lighter areas around the middle of the ornament and leaving the top and bottoms of the ornaments a little bit darker. also like to use the lightest shade to sort of highlight where the face is going to be, so that way it really makes it pop. I like to highlight around where the eyes will be, the tops of the cheeks, and just around the chin. And I'm going to repeat these steps for all 3 of the ornaments. Once I've gotten them to the color that I want, I'm going to go in with a little bit of a reddish color and start dabbing that onto the cheeks just to make them look a little bit blushy, and then it's time to start detailing the face. For the faces, I did differ from the original illustration just a little bit, just so they have my own unique style to them. Using some black, I'm going to go ahead and paint in the eyes, the eyebrows, the mouth, the cheek lines, the eye wrinkles, anything like that that I want to add. I'm going to go ahead and do that now with some black, and then I go back in and highlight it with some lighter paint after. Next, I'm going to go in with a gold acrylic paint, and I'm just going to start adding in some more of the ornate details around the tops, just trying to make them look a little bit fancier. So now that I have the faces done and I am super happy with how they look, I'm going to start adding some glitter to these. Now, I know glitter is a bit controversial in the decor community, but I love glitter, especially when it comes to vintage Christmas. Using just a little bit of glue in a fine-tipped bottle, I'm going to apply this to any areas that I want to have a little bit of a sparkle, and I'm going to be using this almost clear crystal-like glitter just to give them a snowy, glistening effect. Now, this glitter, once it's dried, you're not really going to be able to see any color to it. It's just going to add a little bit of sparkle to whatever color is already underneath it. Now that that layer of glitter has dried, I'm going to go in with another layer of gold glitter this time. Using the same fine-tipped bottle, I'm going to add a little bit of glue just on top of the areas where we put that gold paint. I'm going to sprinkle the gold glitter onto it, and once it has dried, I'm going to brush away the excess, and that is going to leave us with our finished ornaments. I am honestly so thrilled with how these ornaments turned out. I really love their faces so much, and I think that they do portray the original characters quite nicely, but they still have a bit of their own unique style. I think the bell is honestly my favorite. I love the colors. I just love how these turned out, and they look so pretty on my tree. If you guys try out a project like this, please share it with me. I would love to see your creations. If you guys want to support my channel, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on. You can also follow me over on Instagram, where I post updates every time I upload. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again. Happy holidays!